y'all. Welcome to our fourth episode of Be Healthy, Happy, and Holistic, period, with your favorite coach, the Coaching Queen, where I teach women how to live healthy lives through the practice of self-care. Listen, today I'm excited because we're going to be talking about my favorite topic, of course, self-care. Now, so many people are unaware of the importance of self-care, so I'm going to not only give you practical tools on how to practice, but I'm going to ignite the fire in you to take care of yourself and to love yourself more. All right. So self care is the practice of doing things that basically fill your tank. Healthy things, healthy activities such as exercising, such as eating well, such as spending time around people who make you smile, make you laugh, and who treat you as though you are a valuable member of the community. Self care is going out and doing things that just make you feel alive and make you feel as though you're walking freely in this world without stress, without timidity, without anything negative that you usually deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I have a couple of tips, and so let's run it through. The first way to practice self-care is knowing who you are and knowing your limits. All right. As a licensed behavioral specialist and a licensed marriage and family therapist, I have found that a lot of women have no idea of who they are, or they had a glimpse of what they wanted their life to be, but because of marriage, because of kids, and because of so many other things, they kind of lost that vigor and lost that sense of self. And so in order to practice self-care effectively, you must learn you. Okay, I can't tell you how many clients I've had in my office that I would ask them simple questions like, what's your favorite day of the week? Or what's your favorite color? Or what is your number one activity you like to practice that makes you feel good about you? And we would literally sit there in silence for a minute because they had no clue. And so what I would do is I would then come up with some questions and help them identify parts of themselves that they were lacking awareness of. In order to practice self-care, you must know who you are and what you like. It's that simple, okay? Who you are, what you like, what makes you feel alive. What is a simple activity that just brings life to you and that seems easy and that just, puts a smile on your face. Also, what are things that you may not like? What are activities that may feel laborious to you or don't put a smile on your face? And when do you not like to practice, and how often do you like to do or not like to do one or two things? Like all those things, making a checklist for yourself of knowing who you are, who you want to be in this world, how you want to show up is really important. The things that you don't like and your reasons for not liking them. This will help you navigate creating a self-care journey for yourself, and this will help you navigate creating that daily, if not weekly, routine for yourself. Okay? So knowing your limit as well. I call myself an ambi. Okay. And some of you may be like, well, what's an ambi? An ambivert. That's what I am. That means I have an extroverted personality. I do well with the mic, as you can see. Because of church, I've been, put out in the forefront, even against my will. Okay, but I have it so well practiced that people think I'm an extrovert. My friends, my family think I'm extroverted. But let me tell you, I got to know myself well and much better when I decided to move out of my mom's house. Buy my first home, and then the pandemic happened literally a week later. Okay, so I got a lot of time, not only with God, but with myself. And I realized that I'm much more of an introvert than I thought. Okay, I enjoy quality time by myself and with myself, and I genuinely enjoy my own company. Now, that may not be you. but that's something you need to know. And if you're an introvert, more so like me, you need to know your limit of being around crowds, being among people, whether you like long, drawn out conversations or you're, kind of keep it simple, a little, no offense to anyone, a little more shallow conversations. Know that about yourself, what your limit is. If you've been in people's faces and you've been at work all week long and you need a full day to kind of restore your battery because of social anxiety, you need to know that. Know your limit and adjust your life according to that. Okay? Once again, if you're an extrovert, maybe, you're always in people's faces. Maybe you love talking all the time, but there are certain things that, kind of drain your energy or add to your energy. You need to know that as well. Most extroverted people, being around large crowds or around people all the time, it drains their battery and they need a day or two to kind of go into their own quiet, not be overstimulated, with loud noises, a lot of conversations. I know for me personally, when I'm really trying to get in the zone, I can't have a lot of conversation or loud noises, but I know that about myself. And so I'll, kind of withdraw a little bit, take a couple of deep breaths, put my own music on, zone out a little bit, and then come back feeling better and ready to work. Do you know what I mean? So know that about you, know your limit, and, don't feel guilty or feel bad about it. Okay? Next step is for self-care. It means getting good rest, good amount of sleep. Now, studies show that women need more sleep than men. Okay? And that could be for many reasons. But for sure, I would have to say because in some way our list is long. I'm not going to say longer. Okay. But I'll say our list is long because there are certain societal pressures and expectations put on women. And the way our mechanics and how we work, our mind is constantly going. Our to-do list is constantly getting extended. We need more sleep and more rest for our brain and for our body. Okay? Science shows that men do not think as hard as women. I said what I said, okay? And that's because we're just wired differently. Women are naturally much more so of considered to be worriers. Anxiety levels are higher. And because of anxiety levels being higher, depression levels are higher. And so for our cortisol, for the hormones that extend our bellies and that fight or flight mode and all these other things that need to be decreased for good health, we have to get proper rest and proper sleep. So now you may be a brand new mom and you're like, but Tiffany, I cannot, get as many hours as I would like to. Listen, that's temporary. Okay. You're in the stage of new mom, new baby. That's temporary. But also go back to point number 1, know your limit. Okay. Be willing and able to allow people to help you. Now, personally, I had to have my mom give me a speech about allowing people to come in to help because, as independent women, we're used to carrying the loads ourselves. We're the I can do it kind of generation. But listen, we all have a limit and we all have a breaking point. So we must be okay to put our pride down, to put our ego away, to allow people who genuinely love us to come in and to help. And if you're a new mom, and if you have a baby and, your mom or his mom or whomever, a best friend, wants to come in and help you with your baby, let you take a nap, let you take a shower, please go and do it. Because what you don't want to do is experience burnout, especially if you're already fatigued, especially if you're already dealing with some of all these hormonal changes after literally pushing out a whole human being, right? You need those breaks, even if it's 15 minutes. You need to breathe. You need to wash. You need to woosah. So know your limit and allow people to help you and get proper proper rest, get proper sleep. Okay, especially at night. You know you're going to have that crying baby. You might hear their voice, etc. But be at peace, be at ease. The baby's okay. You're going to be okay. Everything will be well. Now, for those of you who have high levels of anxiety and depression for other reasons, sleep is essential. And I'm going to talk to you a bit more about how to set up a sleep routine for yourself so that you're able to get more rest. If you don't know, I'm a wellness coach as well, and I have a wellness line called Gifts by Tiffany Murphy, and I assist women in creating a sleep routine with our lavender products so that they're able to not only go to sleep but then wake up, of course, but to have that deep REM sleep. It is essential for you to operate and for you to work the way you need to work, for you to do what you need to do. All right? But before we jump into that, we're going to now take a break and thank our sponsors, but we'll be right back. Hey ladies, I just want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Alyssa, who is the owner of Thrive with Gemini. She helps women over the age of 35 eat healthier and pick the best foods that are for them. These healthier foods are good for their mind, their body, and their spirit. And Alyssa, the owner of Thrive Gemini, loves encouraging women to be their best selves, just like we do on H3P. Make sure you go follow and subscribe to Thrive with Gemini on Instagram and every social media platform. Thanks, Alyssa. Hey y'all, we're back. And so we were talking about the necessity for rest and good sleep. Right? So good sleep allows you to function at your best. Good sleep also keeps you from being irritable and just downright miserable. So it is essential that you set up a good sleep routine so that you can be your best self throughout the day. Now, I have a tip for you for those who may struggle with intermittent sleep. That is, you're able to go to sleep, but you wake up the same time around 1:30, 2 o'clock every morning and your brain is racing or you just can't seem to go back to sleep. So what I instruct my clients to do is to keep a journal and a pen by your bed every night. Okay, you know that every day or at least 3 days a week, you have a break in your sleep, which then kind of, they say broken up sleep is actually worse. So usually I'll tell people, depending upon the time, either get up, get your journal, get your pen, write down all those intrusive thoughts that are disturbing your sleep, and I promise you it will help you go back to bed. I also instruct people to get up, walk around your house. Do not stay in the bed tossing and turning and hitting pillows and, doing all that. No, you have to get up. You have to reset. Go to the kitchen, get a drink of water, or get maybe a cup of sleepy time tea or chamomile or something like that. Go to the bathroom and then lay back down in bed. You have now reset your brain and your body to go back to sleep, okay? Another tip that I tell people as well is if you're one who comes home to do work, do not do work in your bedroom, okay? Do not do work in your bedroom. Do not do work because your brain will associate work and the bedroom. So when your brain associates that this is where your brain keeps on going, keeps on being awake, it will keep you from sleeping well. Okay, so if you're one who jumps on the computer to finish up a few products or a few things on work that you brought home, make sure you have a separate area where you do your work from work. Your bedroom, your bed is to be created for your serene, for your calm, for your rest place only. And if you're married, for some loving with your spouse, right? Make sure your brain and your body is aware of your bedroom is only for places where you do things that you enjoy, that are calm, that are restful and relaxing, okay? Do not do any work in your bedroom. All right. Another thing I would also say is if you can, depending on how severe your intermittent sleep is, remove the TV out of your room. Okay. Or just make sure you don't sleep at all with your TV. Some people also bring in sound machines, whether it's calm rain or frogs or chirping or what have you. These are different tools that can assist you in your sleep. Like any prescription that I would give to my clients, I say try this for 3 weeks straight, which is 21 days, as a new habit before saying that this or that does not work. Unfortunately, so many people try one thing, and if it doesn't work immediately, they just toss it out. But I encourage you to create a pattern, create a habit, so your body and your brain has time enough to respond and to adjust. Okay? Even for those of you who may take medication, they say the medication for depression or what have you, it takes 2 to 3 weeks to really get in your system and to really start working. So understand that anytime you're trying to be healthy or any new healthy habits, it takes time. It is not microwavable. All right. I know as Americans, we're used to run through procedures quick, this, quick, that. We lack patience. But I have to say, anything good, anything worth having, it takes time to build. So any good habits or breaking down bad habits, it may take a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks. So don't give up right away when something doesn't work the first time. All right, so you got your sound machine, you got your pen, you got your journal, you have your calming tea, you get up, you walk around. I'm not going to say try all of them all at one time. Maybe do 2 at a time and get into a 2-step habit or a 3-step if you feel as though you need to. But we want to try many different ways, okay? I would also say taking a nice hot shower. That will calm you, okay, before going to bed. Get your Gifts by Tiffany Murphy products, your lavender, your bath bomb, your shower steams. Lather that stuff up. Do your deep breathing techniques in the shower. I always encourage my clients to do that. Create a routine that is consistent. Okay. So many of us will try something once, maybe twice, but we lack consistency. Be consistent. Set your routine, 2 to 3 step method so it doesn't seem like too much work, and get some good sleep. All right. Now we're going to go to the next step, which is to make sure you are well fed. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is how you eat also disturbs your sleep. Okay. How you eat disturbs your sleep. Now, yes, I'm talking about food, but there are other things that we're eating that disturbs our life, that disturbs our subconscious and our conscious mind. But let's start with food. Okay. So science shows that food affects your brain and it affects your mood. Okay. Certain food, especially red dye for those who have autism, who have ADHD, it's so bad for you. And thankfully, the US has banned it. And kudos to the US for doing one thing right. Okay. So our foods really do matter. And so I personally love going to farmers markets. I stopped eating chicken for a whole year, and I started, kind of checking out some farmers markets, tasting new types of meat straight from a farm, and I've kind of eaten some more of it, but I'm still considering going back to not eating chicken at all. But your safer bet for foods, if you can afford it, is to go to farmers markets or places like Wegmans. I absolutely am in love and have a great relationship with Wegmans, okay? Wegmans is my go-to place. They have fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, off the farm eggs, the brown ones, they might be a little more pricey, but think about it. If you want your body to function at its best for whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's running a business, whether it's being a good wife, a good mom, or, someone just doing whatever, you need to fill your tank, not with the cheap gas, but the good gas. You got a good model car, a BMW, you can't put that cheap gas in it. Right. So make sure the fuel that you put inside of your body, which is way more valuable and important than a car, Make sure the fuel you put inside of your body for your brain, for your mood, for your hormones is good and clean. Now, you might say, well, Tiffany, I can't afford all of that. What you don't realize, and what many people don't realize, is that one tweak, one slight or little change makes all the difference. Okay? Let's start with not drinking soda. We all have to have water, right? We buy so much water. No longer doing tap water, okay? No longer doing soda. No longer drinking juice. Not only will that help you economically, because you'll save money, but that will also help your body and your brain function better. All that sugar, all that junk, all that dye, it's not good for you. Another tip or tool is to do one thing less. So, maybe let's say you're used to eating pizza 3 days a week. How about you just eat pizza one day? Let's start there. Little steps. Okay. Now, talking about other things you may be eating, I personally gave up milk. Okay, and I love me some milk. Listen, that cereal at night before I go to bed with that mix of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and that milk with the swirlies of the sugar, that was my jam, okay? And that was my guilty pleasure every night. But I realized the cereal's not what it used to be. If you read the label, because I'm one of those people, I will be in a grocery store for 2 hours because I'm going down every single aisle and I'm reading every single label, okay? Because I care about my body, I care about my brain, and I care just overall about my health. And I encourage you to do the same. Make your list of your organic products that you've maybe already have read the label on to save time, but I got all the time in the world some days. And then make your list for some guilty treats here so you're not totally giving up everything and it doesn't feel like a chore at first until you really learn to love to eat healthy. All right. Some other things that I would say to you as far as what you're feeding yourself, but that's not food. Watching ratchet TV, which I'm so guilty of, watching ratchet TV, or watching, I don't understand how people watch people on, what is that show, Zeus Network, and they're fighting and literally fist fighting all the time, or watching horror movies and things of that nature. What you're feeding yourself, whether it's your mind or your spirit, those things matter. They too affect your sleep and they too affect your mood. All right, what you're eating, whether it's literally eating food or whether it's digesting things off of TV or entertainment, affect your life as well. And I know so many of us don't really think it does, but I promise you, it does. Okay? Another thing of feeding yourself is the conversations you're having with people. Is it positive? Is it negative? Are people gossiping? Are people feeding you, all these types of things that biblically are not okay, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually negatively impact you? All right. Be careful of what you feed yourself. Be careful of what you feed your body and your brain. And on that note as well, what we don't realize is when we're eating those things, they come out of us. Okay. Now, I'm not going to get all gross on you, but literally and figuratively, those negative things or those things that literally don't add value to your life come out of you. Okay, they come out of your high levels of anxiety. Why are you so anxious today? Or feeling depressed. Why aren't you sleeping well? Or your conversation, how you speak about yourself, your conversations with other people. It's kind of similar to being around people who curse a lot. All of a sudden in your mind or what comes out of your mouth, you'll slip and say a curse word. And you're saying to yourself, where did that come from? But it's because you've been feeding yourself movies, shows, entertainment, or having conversations with people where all these things that are considered to be not great for you, now they're entering into your mind, entering into your heart, and becoming part of your routine. So be careful of how you feed yourself. Also, I want to encourage you, drink more water, okay? Drink water, mind your business. All right, now going to part 4. Going going to part 4. We're going to talk about decompressing, y'all. Listen, you got to have some comedy somewhere, okay? That little tidbit, I just helped somebody, okay? I know I did, okay? Decompressing throughout the day. Now, some of us don't realize that working straight through a day and not taking a break is why you're so stressed, okay? It is okay not to be a superhuman. You were never meant to be. Jesus is the superhuman, okay? You need rest. And even Jesus took a rest. My God, God took a rest. He gave us the blueprint to self-care. On the 7th day, what did God do? Okay? So we as people, especially us church people with that long itinerary that just don't make no sense, we have to know when to take a break. Now, I personally cannot take a 15-minute nap. It doesn't work for my body. It doesn't work for my mood. It actually makes me more irritable. And you got to know what works for you. But if it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I know my mom, when she had her lunch break, it would be an hour. And for 30 minutes, she'd go take a quick nap in her car. And then the other 30 minutes, she ate her food and then went back to work. Maybe you're able to also go into your car for 15 minutes and take a quick nap. Maybe you just need to take a run somewhere, go get you something to drink, listen to music, put your windows down, do whatever it is that you need to do, okay? Decompress during the day. Working through your lunch break will not make you a better employee, like I said. It will not make your boss like you even more. I mean, it might be helpful at times because maybe you have a deadline, but do not let that be your habit. Take your break because you deserve it. All right? You work hard. Find different things that you like to do within that time. If you have a 30-minute break, like I said, get in your car, turn on some music, sing, laugh, smile, watch a funny video. But I don't want to encourage too much of entertainment or consumption through the phone because that too heightens anxiety for many people. Find other things. I know many people who actually go for a nature walk during that time. If you can go sit in a park and watch the birds chirp and feel the breeze and just listen to nature, that is a great alternative to phone and other entertainment that really don't actually add value to your life. All right. So my next point, moving on, is self-care also means having thoughts of changing your environment, which goes hand in hand with what I just said. So changing your environment, maybe you need to walk off of the college campus that you're on. Maybe you need to leave the facility that you're working in that may cause you some stress, right? And so go to another area, go to another place, change your scenery. Now, a lot of people do this by going on vacation, which I always encourage. You wouldn't believe how many people go years without going away or without going to the beach or going on, I would say a family vacation, but for some people, a family vacation is actually more stressful. So find a place that you can go that will actually relieve stress and go with people who bring you joy, who make you smile, and who also, once again, add value to your life. Changing your environment, going to a new place where there's fresh air, where there are different people that you can meet or network with or talk with, that make you feel good about you. So many people just stay literally on that same block or same 2 blocks all of their lives. I could say that would be a New York thing, right? Or certain states or certain people, are scared or fearful of changing the scenery. But I promise you, sometimes the change of scenery is the very thing that you need to feel ignited or to get a new vigor, a new pep in your step. Changing scenery, new environment, fresh air, new people, all those things matter in your self-care self-care practice. Maybe you say, you know what, right now I can't afford to go on a vacation. I can't afford to do A, B, C, and D. But I would say, listen, if you could just drive an hour away and do a staycation, which I enjoy doing with my best girlfriends, whom I call my self-care besties. If you follow me on Gifts by Tiffany Murphy, you get it. Wink, wink. Okay. We, do a staycation, stay only an hour away in the Poconos at our favorite hotel. And we, chat, we catch up, we eat great food, we laugh, we drink, and we're merry, and just that 24 hours or 48 hours makes all the difference. It really, truly does. Now, before I go on to my next point, I also want to remind you, though, that doing a self-care getaway where you're just eating and dressing and being cute and all that stuff, that does not take away any trauma or any hurt or pain that you may experience. That can be a Band-Aid for many people. So don't take it in a way of, oh, I could just always go away on vacations and run away from your problems. No, there are things that you need to deal with deeply and that have been rooted, okay? But we're just talking about normal, regular, schmegular anxiety, stress, because we're just, life is lifing. But when you find that some of these tools and tips, although they may be helpful, but it's not literally, I'll say, curing the pain or curing your weariness or curing the burdens, that most likely means that there are more deeply rooted things that you need to deal with. And you can deal with it in prayer. You can deal with it in reading your word. And for sure, life coaching and therapy. So listen, if you want to book a call with me, just go to esteemmecode.com and we can break down those deeper things that you may need to work on. Okay. So for my next point, now we're going to talk about how self-care means you taking time to get to know you better. And that kind of stems to point number one. But getting to know you better goes even deeper as far as who you are, what your identity is, and what you have been placed on this earth to do. It's not just about what do you like and what's your favorite food, your favorite color, do you enjoy going to the movies, etc. But it's more so of getting to know you better in what is your mission? What have you been called to do? What has God created you and ordained you to do here on this earth? And that requires you going to your creator and asking him and sitting down and journaling and praying and listening to music and worshiping and allowing God to speak back to you. Because a lot of times in prayer, we're only talking to God, right? But allowing yourself to be still so that you are able to hear his voice and hear clear directions on what your next move is, what your next steps are, and who you are in this world so you can remain in alignment. Some of you need to get realigned, okay? And in order to align with your God-given mission and purpose, you have to get to know you better through God's eyes, okay? You have to get to know you better through God's eyes, through his mind concerning you, knowing his thoughts about you, knowing what he thinks of you and how he thinks of you and who you are, because we cannot follow other people's roadmaps. And as the creation, we have to go to the creator. So during your self-care practice, you go out to nature, get still, allow God to speak to you. So he says, you are this, you are that, daughter, this is how I've purposed you. Okay. So that's a even deeper level on getting to know you better. First, you need to get to know God, and then you need to know what God thinks about concerning you. And that takes time. That also takes a moment of you being away. I know some people who love to be around people all the time, but you can't get to know yourself better and deeper by being in the crowd. Okay? That requires moments to yourself, that requires silence, that requires God's voice only, that requires His word. All right. So make sure you definitely tap into that. And once again, if you need assistance with that, you can book a call with me, the Coaching Queen, at Esteemi Coaching and Counseling, and just go ahead and go to esteemico.com. Our 7th point is self-care means identifying what you enjoy doing and what is fun for you. So what is fun for you is beyond, the laugh and giggles. What is fun for you could be shallow, could be, a little fun, this, that, and the third. But what is fun for you that you could do possibly every day and not get paid? Like a lot of people who run businesses, they're doing things that they love so much that if they didn't get paid, they would still do it. A lot of people are saying, it's not work when it's fun. Some of you have entrepreneurial spirit and don't know where to start. And so this is your indicator. Find what's fun for you. Find what you enjoy doing and turn that into a revenue producing thing, right? Find the thing that may be light, not too deep, but then find that thing that is, something that you could do for hours and the time goes by and you look up at the clock and you say, oh, wow, I didn't realize I've been, knitting for so long or baking for so long or, talking on a podcast. I enjoy helping women genuinely. I enjoy helping people genuinely. People stop me, random strangers start telling me all of their business. And because I enjoy, hearing and helping, I don't mind. You know what I mean? And so, but then I realized that God called me into a deeper place concerning this. And then people will offer to pay for my time. People may offer to pay for your time. You're such a great cook and people tell you all the time how well you cook and how good it is. But for you, you're just spreading love. You enjoy it. You love it. But who knows? You could own a restaurant. Who knows? You could be selling, starting out from selling out your house. And then it could be so much more than that. So what is fun? What do you enjoy? And what would you do freely? That's self-care practice. Okay. And our 8th point, self-care means knowing how to decompress after work, not just during work, but after. That does not mean couch rotting. Even though we've all been guilty of it, right? That doesn't mean getting on your couch and binge watching The Bachelor for 4 to 6 hours. That does not mean, scrolling for 2 hours can easily go by on scrolling. Oh my God. Okay. After work, go for a walk. After work, get with your kids, have them in the kitchen with you and cook some food and laugh and play. Go find something fun. After work, pet your dog. Animals are known to be stress and anxiety relievers. Go do something after work that's enjoyable. And then, of course, next is self-care means feeding your spirit. Okay. And we can deep dive into feeding your spirit on our previous episode. If you didn't watch our episode of where we talked about anxiety and the divine exchange, make sure you go and watch that episode. Feeding your spirit through prayer, through supplication, through praise, reading the word. Okay. Getting in tune with God. And last but not least, finally, it is loving yourself. When you practice these tips and take out time for you, you are practicing not only self-care, but self-love. In order for you to find success in this life, you must find self-love. We're not talking about narcissism. We're not talking about, being self-consumed or self-centered. We're talking about a healthy level of loving who you are in this world so that you're able to do what is best for you and best for others. Self-care is self-love. Do not allow anyone to tell you it's selfish. Self-care is absolutely essential. All right, you guys. Well, that's a wrap for today. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe all social media platforms, and especially here on YouTube. Once again, I am your favorite coach, the Coaching Queen, and this is Be Healthy, Be Happy, and Holistic, period. Be well.